You know what's interesting, Sean? And it's very true. I can't remember who I heard say this. It was probably about 2 years ago. But last night, and it's the same thing for the NFL draft. Last night was as good as it'll get for some of these kids.
Mm-hmm.
Not kids, they're grown men, but some of these guys that got drafted. Like last night, and this year it's funny because so many, I think there were 20 international players. Of the 60 picks, 20 of them international, which is a lot. That's, I'm not going to do the math in my head, but that's a lot. That's about 35% or something like that, 35%. But anyway, it's probably 33% exactly. But yeah, you feel it a little more when you know the kids and they're coming out of college and you're familiar with them. But it's the truth. Like there are guys that last night, lottery picks, first round picks, they're celebrated, they're praised. You know, the spotlight is on them. They're interviewed by Stephen A. Smith and Bob Myers and Malika Andrews. And, you know, they are the cat's meow for 10 minutes. and you know, they celebrate afterwards. There's a party for them. Everybody has their own little party. And it's a great night. And your dream is fulfilled of being an NBA player. But some of these guys, that's going to be the best that it is. They're not, you know, they're going to struggle. They might not last very long in the league. They will, some of them may be called busts. And last night, the NBA draft or the NFL draft is, it's just interesting to think of it that way.
Let me put it like this. Having gone through the draft, I was the 50th pick in the 1999 draft. And I think.
So you were second round? Okay, mid-second round then.
Almost every athlete that had dreams of making it into professional sports. Like, if you'd have told us when we were 6 years old, you're going to get drafted, we wouldn't have cared when, where, what round. It would have just been, okay.
Right.
A professional sports draft is the most emotionally dysfunctional big achievement for an athlete. Because the only person, the only person that's emotionally in a good space is the first pick. The second pick always thinks he should have been first. The 10th pick always thinks. So you mean
even after you're picked?
Oh, man. Yes.
I get if you're sitting there waiting and you're starting to wonder and you're worried as you may fall. But you're saying even if you get picked second, third, whatever, you're not in a good space?
Yeah, it depends on it depends on how mature you are emotionally. You got to understand this, Chris. It's a competitive nature that got you to this platform anyway. Like, I was the 50th pick in the draft, but I was the sixth quarterback chosen. I'm frustrated. I went in my room. We had a draft party at my house. I went in the room. I didn't want to be around anybody. I couldn't believe they chose Cade McNown and Tim Couch and Achilles Smith and Donovan McNabb and Dante Culpepper. I couldn't believe they chose any of those guys in front of me.
And I remember you in college, and you had a great career. Where were you thinking or being told that you might get drafted?
Bill Walsh said the 49ers were going to draft me at, I think it was pick 26 or 27.
Okay.
They said, if you're available when we select, we're going to take you. They ended up, I guess they had some injuries to their defensive line. They ended up taking, I think, Reggie McGrew, the defensive tackle from Florida. Like, you don't forget these things, Chris.
Like, I see.
So to your point, there are a whole bunch of guys drafted in the second round yesterday. They got a chip on their shoulder. Terrence Shannon, first-round draft pick. He's sitting there. He's probably hot as fish grease because he knows his career, his talent probably was lottery. He got accused of something he didn't do, which made his stock drop. And he's sitting there watching guys get drafted in front of him. I mean, it just is what it is. Dalton Connect. I mean, he's elated that he went to the Lakers. But you think he thinks there are 16 better players in a weak draft than him?
Well, look, if they have that chip on their shoulder, they got to go out there and prove it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're right. Being drafted in the second round of the NBA draft is a lot different than the second round. The second round in NFL draft is good.
Well,
you know what I mean? I guess it depends on your perspective, but still, that's not a bad
only thing I don't
slot.
like about the way the NFL specifically breaks up the draft. I mean, if you get drafted in the 4th through the 7th round, you're basically an afterthought. I mean,
Right.
the first round pick is already having press conferences. They've had 2 days to travel. Where I like the NFL draft. I really wish they would do, if they're going to do the first round in a standalone day, I wish they do 2 through 7 the following day. I mean, it really makes the kids drafted 4
But
through 7
don't think they're
feel a
gonna
certain way.
feel? I mean, first of all, that's a heck of a long day.
Well, they used to do
And you don't
12
think
rounds,
they're gonna
11
feel,
or 12.
Yeah, it used to be longer, but it wasn't as big of a television product as it is now. I mean, even if you just made it 2 days, 2 through 7 on the second day, you don't think those kids after hours of waiting and they're drafted in the 5th round or the 6th round, you don't think they're going to be like feel the same way? I kind of think it's good the way they break it up.
Well, they've done it.
Because it still highlights the 2nd and 3rd round guys.
It does in a way. I still think the 4th through 7th is now an afterthought, but it is what it is.
Well, they are, but I just think they probably be that way anyway. That's all.
And I mentor a lot of young athletes, and I tell them, listen, it's an opportunity that you've been working for your entire life. No one remembers where you were drafted after you actually get on the field in your first regular season. Right. Now it's about what you do with the opportunity. But I'm telling you, man, emotionally, it's a roller coaster. You can really get hijacked emotionally on draft day.
Well, look, we this is a good topic. I'm glad you brought this up, or we brought it up. We're going to get into the big NBA trade. DeJounte Murray, the nice all-star caliber guard. I don't think he's ever made an all-star team in Atlanta, but he's a nice guard. He has made an all-star team. Yeah, all-star guard going to the New Orleans Pelicans. So they're trying to make their move in a tough Western Conference. I like the aggressiveness because look, you weren't standing pat and going to do much out west. So I like them trying to make that move. We'll break that all down. But since we're on the topic of the draft, let me ask you this before we go to the break. Bronny being drafted 55th. What do you think? How do you think the reception for him is going to be? And I think the fact that he's with his dad, and I know he wants to spread his wings and be his own man. Any man would want to do that. But I also think him going to a team where his dad is there and beloved. I mean, the players call him GOAT, and they chant GOAT around him and stuff like that. So I do think that's going to make it an easy transition, at least initially. I mean, if it comes, and I'm not saying this will happen, but if he can't ball at this level and it's obvious in practice and it continues, I mean, that might be the case initially, but you would assume he'll grow and improve. But let's say he doesn't, he's just clearly not good enough. That could be a problem. But I think initially he will be received with open arms, and maybe even a lot of the team, if not the whole team, will kind of be like his big brother. They'll kind of adopt him as their little brother. And I don't even know I want you to address that too. Would you even want that? Yeah, you want the dudes to like you, but you also want to be like, I'm a man and I'm here to ball. Like, I'm not, don't be patting me on the head and stuff like that. So what do you think about all that I said, how he'll be received?
I'll say this, and I think you have to look at it in a couple different ways. From a family dynamic, it's absolutely the best outcome. It allows Savannah and Bryce to support them both. Not have to pick and choose who we're going to go see. He can still be there and be a
because you would be going
system.
to see Bronny.
Right. Let's say right. I made
Although
it clear
he wouldn't
yesterday.
Be playing much.
I'm the leader in the Bronny fan club. I think Bryce will be a hell of an NBA player. I'll say this because his dad is such a polarizing superstar. The people that dislike LeBron, they're going to take that energy out on Bronny, and the people that love and adore LeBron, they're going to give that same adulation to Bronny. My thing is this, and I said this yesterday. He comes off like a kid that wants to prove that he deserves to be in the NBA, regardless of what his last name is and who his dad is. And I think that work ethic is going to serve him well. Will he be a starter year 1 or 2 for the Lakers? Probably not.
But hell, ain't gonna be a starter.
80% of the guys drafted Wednesday and Thursday,
I doubt too,
probably aren't going to be starters in their first 2 years in the NBA. So, I mean, that's just how NBA basketball is. I love it for him. I love it. His dad has a great work ethic. He's been under it his entire life. I think it'll be really good for his dad to be there for some of the press issues and kind of help guide him through, what to say, what not to say. But, I mean, from everything he's demonstrated, he seems extremely mature.
He does.
He seems extremely humble for a kid that grew up in that situation. And it's like he has a great work ethic. So I think he'll be fine.